A special brand new season 4 of What Do I Know with me, Joanne Pei, is coming your way. This time, I'm putting women in the spotlight and challenging this year's International Women's Day theme, Accelerate Action, and its relevance in Singapore, a society that already provides equitable opportunities for women in many ways. From most literature, it seems that the push for gender equality often centers around economic participation. Is this truly progress for all? Or is it a carefully designed economic strategy to maximize GDP growth? And while female empowerment is celebrated, what about caregiving? Isn't it the most foundational role in any society? Are we forgetting the important role that women and men play in raising strong families? Now, if we agree that family is the cornerstone of society, are we then accelerating action in the right direction? Can there be a multi-pronged approach? This is going to be a power-packed season as you'll be hearing my conversations with policymakers and notable women in their fields. What truly sustains a nation? What type of scrutiny do women face in the spotlight? Do strong women pay a loneliness tax? This is just the tip of the iceberg. Stay tuned and keep an open mind because what do we all know? Hi, I'm Joanne Pei, and you're listening to episode 1 of What Do I Know Season 4, Women in the Spotlight. When we talk about pushing for gender equality, I can't help but feel there's a certain level of bias in the society on how people perceive female public figures. I, for one, have gone through so much of that during my career, from discussion of my weight to my boobs and to the hate I get from speaking up. Why doesn't anyone scrutinize a male celebrity the same way? Why is it socially acceptable for a man to speak his mind, but when a woman does it, she's being a bitch? Are we being scrutinized more? Do female politicians get it harder too? Joining me today is none other than Miss Tin Pei Ling. Hi, Pei Ling. Can I call you Pei Ling?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm really happy that you're here today, and it's also my first time speaking to you. I think you roughly kind of know what this episode is going to be about, and I feel like we've both been rather controversial in our own ways.
Maybe an understatement. For me.
So maybe let's start with the easy bit first, get you warmed up a little bit. Okay, so maybe talk me through a little bit of your childhood. Like, what were you like as a child? Were you always like, very active, helping other people, doing a lot of volunteer work? Or
I mean, I am the only child.
Okay.
So I grew up with my mom pretty much around me all the time because she was a housewife. My father worked very long hours from very early morning to late night because of coffee shop. To be honest, I think some of the things that I was interested in would be things like storytelling competition. I remember since primary school, I just chanced upon the storytelling competition. I remember back then at Forum Shopping Mall. And so just randomly, I decided to take part. I always get very excited preparing for it, although I never won prizes.
No stage fright.
I think when I started very young, I was a bit nervous, but not quite stage fright. Then after a while, when you just keep on trying, then you kind of get used to it.
Okay.
Then I think the prouder moment would be in university when I represented Singapore in the tertiary category to Taipei for they call this impromptu English-Chinese speech competition.
Wow.
So
sounds hard.
Thankfully, I think, to be honest, it's really our 双语政策, right? Our bilingual policy, because it's supposed to be in 2 languages, and you only get to know what topic you will be speaking on like 4 minutes before you go on stage. So I thought that was quite an interesting experience for me. So I guess I was quite comfortable, or at least not afraid of speaking in front of others. The only change was that I think in 2011 there was a bit of a rattling experience for me, given what had happened when I was first fielded in the general election. So for quite some time, I recall I had a lot of reservations. I just didn't feel very confident or comfortable speaking in front of people. And so I have to be very, very careful with what I say, maybe write down my points before I dare to speak up.
I think since you've already brought this up, we would not shy away from it as well, right? 2011 was when you were first fielded, and then there was a whole lot of incidents that happened, and including the whole like Kate Spade bag, which it was very iconic, and all of us recall. And I think also because it happened at a time, it was also a time that there was comparison, right? So when you talk about being rattled, what was it exactly that was rattling in that whole saga?
During 2011, when I was fielded, I know that I knew I was the youngest candidate from the PAP. We also anticipated that there would be some criticisms or doubts about me because I was only 27 back then. And but what I think took me and perhaps people around me by surprise was the intensity of the criticisms, as well as the backlash, if I may put it that way. Anything that I post or say, even if it's just, oh, 今天太阳很好, like today the sun, the weather is good, I could get like thousands of comments just whacking me and just ridiculing me. I remember there were even articles that fabricated about like some fake boyfriend that I never even dated before, and then said I dumped him because he was fat. And then there were other things like memes comparing me to a chimpanzee, so on and so forth. And then even in real life, there were people who knew that I was there and would purposely say things so that I could hear them. And I had this pair of sisters in their 50s who heckled at me as they walked past me, originally thinking that I just wanted to, give it a shot, try my best to serve. So all these were like very overwhelming. I remember it was so stressful for me that every day I would go home and cry at the end of the day. And then I would be like, what did I do wrong? What exactly? I know I'm not perfect. Maybe I didn't give the most perfect speech or the most perfect answer, but exactly what did I do wrong? Who did I cause harm to that I should be receiving all of this? And then, I cry. Then the next day I was like, okay, cannot already. On again, I must go out and just face people and do what I need to do within the constituency on the ground. And I must say that there was also a considerable few years where I didn't dare to really go out, apart from going parliament, apart from going to McPherson for my groundwork, for my constituency work. Otherwise, I'll just coop up at home. It would be like late night when nobody is able to see me or, know. I'll go to East Coast Park or go to some shopping center and literally do window shopping because there's no one.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This sounds really tragic, I feel. And I mean, the amount of pressure that you must have gone through, I can only imagine. I wouldn't dare say that I have been in your shoes. Of course, I've also received similar sort of criticisms.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, there have been moments where I just felt completely thrown under the bus, right? And, that same mentality of, why me? Like, why is all this attention on me? Why don't the male celebrities get it, right? For example. So then I guess it brings me to this question. Is it a woman thing? Are women just more subjected to scrutiny in public? Especially because if you're a public figure, whether today you're a singer or a KOL or a politician, or just, are women just being scrutinized a lot more than men, you think?
I think both genders do receive our share of criticisms, but the nature of the criticisms may differ. I think for women, at least in my context, I remember at the beginning, they not only doubt my ability to empathize or understand issues that residents face because of sheer age. But a lot of the comments seem to revolve around how I look, right? So earlier I mentioned there were memes comparing me to chimpanzee, the way I dress,
the bag you carry.
The bag I carry, exactly. And that was, by the way, a birthday present. And it seems to be very frivolous. I was painted, or at least the comments seem to suggest that I was a bimbotic person.
Yes.
Without the intellectual capacity to address issues that matter.
Like, you were only focused on the material side. Like, that was the image, right?
Yeah,
that you were being painted.
Exactly.
And because you had all these material stuff, how are you going to know what we common people down here are facing, right? That's the
Yes,
thing.
it came across that way, and so it was an uphill task for me. And actually, fast forward, even after the last 14 years or so being a member of parliament, occasionally I still get comments that are focused on the appearance. So I think for females, perhaps sometimes we are more subjected to this kind of criticism. I would think that males or male counterparts or colleagues may face other types, but I think in terms of proportion, probably we get it a little bit more.
Do you think there's a way to resolve this at all?
I think it will take some time, and whether it will ever equalize, so to speak, or level, very hard to say. But I think it's up to us women to continue to speak up for ourselves and to show that we have the substance to hold up on our own, whichever positions that we may be in, whichever industry or sector. I think it's important that we establish ourselves, our own credibility, and hopefully with more successful women taking on leadership positions, we will be able to change that narrative. And even better is to inspire others who may feel a little bit hesitant or a bit, fearful or anxious, to be more ready or more willing to step forward and take on new challenges. And hopefully one day we'll reach that critical mass to really change the way people think or perceive women.
I mean, I guess this is maybe a very cliche question, but then I suppose what is in your mind the nastiest thing that someone has said or written about you, and then comparing it to the nicest thing that someone has said or done?
I mean, in the past, there were comments about how I look and things like that. I guess the nastiest thing would be to say that, I'm useless, I'm incompetent, I don't care. Because, obviously it's not that. It's just that some problems take a longer time or are just tougher to solve. Then the nicest things, I guess, give an example, like just fairly recently, 1 or 2 months ago at MPS, I met this lady who's undergoing divorce. And so she has a kid to, fight for custody over. She came to make an appeal regarding housing arrangement. And to be very frank, the housing issue may not be able to solve it immediately. It will take some time because it's a bit more complex. But I remember we had this conversation whereby, I listened to her, she shared, like girl to girl, like a bit like friends. After a while, she got emotional and broke down. And she said that, I haven't felt this way for a while, that someone is listening to me, that someone cares about me. And that to me, I felt very touched. I felt impact. And then after that, actually, after MPS, she dropped me a text message on Instagram. And so private message. It was a bit longer. And she basically said that, thank you for listening to me. And that, it has been a very difficult time. And she felt at least someone listened and cared for her. So so to me, I was very touched because it's like, I know that the actual problem that she came looking for me about, I don't think I can immediately solve it. But if I had at some point given her a little bit of warmth, a little bit of hope, and just encourage her a little bit more, I think it's all good. I think it's all worthwhile. So to me, this kind of comment or message means a lot to me.
So even though it's not necessarily a very direct compliment, but then the fact that you knew you touched someone,
yes,
and you lit that light in that person for that, half an hour, that conversation, that was good enough.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So actually, both, whether it's guys, whether it's male or females, when we don't know enough about them, the only thing that we can grab onto is what's on the surface.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's also the reason why that focus on appearances.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know you. I just see a photo. Therefore, you look bimbo, or you look this, or you have bad hair, you have bad teeth, your dress sense is poor. That you're just picking on all the things that's on the on the outside.
Actually, I think Margaret Thatcher got a quote that's something like this. I cannot remember the exact words, but paraphrasing it is that if you can only pick on me on my looks, that means you've got nothing else to fault me on.
Not everybody will be able to withstand this sort of pressure. And indeed, what you had to go through, you talk about people just taunting you and this and that. And you're just facing it at a much, much higher level because it's online, there's, you still have to go and face people, and all of it is totally unwarranted. How did you then overcome all of that? How do you pick yourself up?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm sure I'm not the only one who have gone through this, such an ordeal. I do take inspiration from women like yourself. I'm sure you have gone through your own fair share.
Yes.
And I mean, if others have been able to overcome, I'm sure I can too. So there's a bit of that self-cycle there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I guess for me, at that point in time, what really helped me was that because I go to McPherson, I go to the ground, I meet residents, and the issues or the things that they say face to face, surprisingly, are really bread and butter. During those interactions, it's quite clear to me that there are, really serious problems that sometimes they have to face. And then for me, it's like, I feel hurt. I feel humiliated in some instances, but these are, at the end of the day, it's just my feelings and a bit of my so-called face. So when I put things into perspective, I felt like since I'm in the position to help and give, then I should, do my best to help. And so with that framing, it helped to take my mind off like, oh, I'm such a victim, I've been through so much, and just wallow in self-pity. So that helped to lift me up and just, deal with the issues that are at hand. Of course, I'm thankful that I have still a very good team who stuck with me throughout the whole thing. They could have just given up on me. They could have said, this is a controversial candidate. Can you just change? But they did not. I must say that despite the onslaught online, if I can put it that way, I do get once in a while some emails from strangers whom I don't know, expressing kind words to give me a bit of encouragement. And so that gave me hope that there are still people who are willing to give me chance and just be kind. And so all of these, I think, taken together really helped me to go through that very difficult time. And to be honest, also over the years, now and then as I meet residents, especially women or single mothers, recently I had one. So when they are going through their own difficult patches, and I felt like, if I can share my story with you, and if it could just give you a little bit of hope or a little bit of encouragement, then I think it would be, meaningful.
I also thank all my scars, that I've experienced throughout my career to be the person that I am today. I think when we fall and when we are hurt, that's when we try to find solutions for ourselves. Yeah. And in that process, we gain something, and we sort of, become stronger in that sense, and we become also, I would like to think slightly wiser than before. The scars do help us become stronger and to be able to share that experience with those who may need it at some point in time. I guess my question to you is also like, how come you didn't just forget it, give up, and go back to a nice cushy job?
To be honest, it was really very difficult. I remember there were right after general election, we lost the first time we lost a GRSC. Some people actually felt that I contributed to that.
Right.
It was a hit on me because I felt like I was a liability.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having won the election, no matter how difficult it was in 2011, I felt that in the end, this is a privilege. It is a once in a lifetime opportunity to do something that is greater than myself, that more than just being a volunteer, that to translate all those ideas that I may have into real actions, I shouldn't give it up. I mean, what's the worst case is that I'll be a one-term MP law. I guess thankfully also back then, being in my 20s, so still considered young, right? So can afford to just try and see how things work out. So I'm actually thankful that things got better and that residents continue to embrace me and give me the opportunity. For otherwise, I wouldn't be able to come to where I am today. And of course, the team, as I mentioned, did not give up on me.
I mean, all that happened also during a time where there's not much of this whole say no to bullying lah, all this like Me Too, all these sort of movements lah, so to speak, to address the concerns, right? So I suppose now that you look back, one of the things that contributed to that was also your age, being a bit too young. Like, what do you know? Do you think that if this were to happen now in this day and age, in this timing, that it would have the same sort of reaction from people?
I think now that some time have passed, and I think generally the electorate people, Singaporeans, have come to experience a very diverse slate of candidates already. So I think that mindset have shifted. And also the use of social media has been both a boon and a bane, right? So it could help people to tell your story. Obviously, there is also the downside whereby, that there could be, online harm, bullying, etc. But if used properly, it could help to convey your message. But also, I think if I can be a bit more shameless, is that I hope that having gone through what I go through, having overcome that and somehow hopefully persuade people that even though I started young, that I could still do a good enough job to serve my residents, to take on that responsibility. I hope that means that people will then be more willing to consider younger candidates should they come, forward to serve, and be more willing to embrace them. In that sense, yeah.
Have you ever wondered why you? I mean, does it just happen to you, or do other female politicians get it as well?
I haven't seen that. I don't know.
Because I have felt this in my own way. And sometimes I feel like when I say some things in interviews and all that, back then, I'm just speaking my mind, I'm just being very honest. And then somehow it would be plucked out, put it as a headline, and then that's all people read. They don't read the contents. And then suddenly I'm like, wow, this person that says I'm very offensive, people think I'm very just dare to speak my mind and all that. But then I always wonder, like, why me? Why is it that everything I do gets scrutinized? Like, when I did a volleyball drama and we ran down Orchard Road, the discussion was about my boobs, and there was a whole article about because I said that it was the time of the month, and so it was a little bit, it was swell a little bit. Even now, as I think back, why do I even need to explain? But I did anyway. And there was a whole article, doctors coming on to explain how it's not possible for a woman to go up 1 cup size during the time of the month. It may swell a little bit, but not 1 cup size. And I'm just thinking, since when did I ever mention that I went up by 1 cup size, right? So then all of that always just felt like, why me? Why me? Like, have you ever felt that way as well?
Yes. Well, I do now and then. Like the job incident, which is to be honest, all the members, many of the members of parliament, whether it's the PAP or non-PAP, other political parties, members of parliament have a day job. And in the normal professional career path, changing jobs is not uncommon. But for some reason, if I do the same thing, and I will somehow get into the news, and I'm like, why? And so I think that's just one instance. I would like to think that that whatever that I have to share or say can receive attention, or people will pay attention. Then if that's the case, then if I have a positive cause to fight for, or for example, a project or a charity that I want to raise more resources for, then hopefully then that will benefit from that. It's like a collateral benefit, right? Then hopefully people will then pay more attention and hear what I have to share. So I try to see this more positively. But yes, whenever sometimes some of these episodes happen, it's like for like, how come you come after me? You don't go to them. It's a bit stressful now and then. Yeah.
So do you think it's because of the women-men thing?
Maybe, but maybe it's also just how I started, and so somehow just something interesting for people to pick on. I don't know. I can't explain.
You still can't find
I still can't quite
an explanation for that. Like I used to say this, and I've had this conversation with a girlfriend before, and she said as well that, somehow when a woman stands up and speaks her mind, or, stand up for herself, like she's a bitch. But then if a man does it, wow, he's being a man. I mean, she's a model, so obviously she's also gone through her fair share of, you just shut up, do as you're told, and don't speak up, right? And if you speak up, you're a difficult, you're a diva, you're this, you're that. And so, in many ways, I resonate with that. So I wonder as well whether in politics is the same way. Like, are you actually encouraged as a woman to speak your mind and to speak up? Or, do you feel that there's also sort of that pressure before you speak to be a bit mindful of how that might come across because you're a woman?
Well, I think, first of all, we are all encouraged and very much given the freedom to speak our minds, whether it's in parliament or outside of parliament. So I think this is something that is a sign of progress, I would say, in Singapore. I can't say the same in other countries, but I think in Singapore, I feel that women are encouraged to do so. So that's very heartening. But at the same time, I am also mindful that there are still some gender stereotypes at play in the background. So if you are a little bit more coarse in your choice of words or, behaviors, that might sometimes invite criticisms or feedback. I remember years ago when I was studying psychology, and there were like some articles about gender stereotyping, how that affects leadership. So there are expectations about how a women leader should behave versus a male leader. And if there's any deviation from the norm, you'll be described as, for example, what you have mentioned, like you're difficult, or you're a diva kind of thing. So I recall that. I would say that sometimes it could also work to our advantage. So for example, for me, in the constituency, when I meet my uncles and aunties, especially my aunties, they're very cute. And over time, we have learned, we've grown close to each other. It's always a joy to see them, and I hope I brought joy to them. So then when they see me, they will hug me, and then I feel very comfortable hugging them back. I guess if I'm a guy, maybe a bit tougher to do that, but maybe as a female with the aunties, it becomes very natural and very comfortable, and it's a very nice feeling because it's like that there's a bond that they trust me. And I feel like, it's meaningful. So makes my time serving the community very worthwhile.
Hey, if you're liking this episode so far, don't forget to hit that like button on YouTube. Your support helps us bring you more great content, and we truly appreciate it. All right, let's dive back into the conversation. Do you feel there's enough female representation in politics?
I think it's a work in progress. Currently in Parliament, we are close to 30%. That means all in, including NCMPs and MPs, etc. That's about close to 30%. But the population, confirm more than 50%, if not more. So I think we still have some way to go to close that gender gap within the Parliament. And so this is something that I would definitely encourage more women who may have aspirations, who may have a cause to stand up for, to step forward. And I think Prime Minister, in his recent sharing, he did say that the party is actively looking to field more female candidates. And so hopefully with Singaporean support, we'll see more female MPs in Parliament.
How can we make it more attractive then for women to join? Because from what you're saying, I mean, I'm scared, I want to be able to carry my Bennett bag without people massacring me for it, And, it's not just that. It's just from the car you drive to, where you live to, my goodness, the shoes that you wear. I don't know what else there can be. Because I do think that a lot of us, we can empathize. We also would love to help, right? And that maybe perhaps, again, this is again the gender stereotype, huh? Women being the nurturers, right? We have that in us. I think it's not difficult for women to rise up to the roles. It's just there's so many other things surrounding that might make it a little bit daunting or not so conducive for women to come in. So in an ideal situation, like how do you think this can be more attractive for women to come forward and serve?
Yeah. So I think if we compare with other countries, actually we're not too bad lah. So in terms of proportion, and also our male politicians and male leaders do not talk down to us. So I think that's a very good starting point that we can hold ourselves up as an equal. Of course, it's also good that if our females, our women, also have causes and passions that they feel strongly about, because that is the intrinsic motivation that will keep us going. Because to be honest, this journey of service, of politics, is not an easy one. It takes a lot of commitment, to be very honest. Even though it's every maybe 4-5 years, one general election cycle, during that time, it's not like you can say, I don't want to do, I change job. No, you are like, fully locked in for that, at least that term. So it's a lot of commitment that is needed. So take for example, every week, we have the weekly Meet the People session. We have a few block visits or house visits that we have to conduct. We have events and activities in which we have to engage people in and outside of constituency. We have parliament, so on and so forth. And that takes time away from, your personal pursuits. You probably can't quite relax a lot. If you have family, you almost have no time for them. Or by the time you are done, like let's say after your block visit, like my block visit, it's already 10 plus already. Go home, everyone sleep already. Then I mean, it can be a little bit a little bit much for some people. So looking at all this, I guess the support that the family can offer, that would, I think, be a very strong determinant for some of the women. They may be also, equally successful in their professional careers, and they may have also aspirations there as well. Then whether or not the employers are, also, supportive, acknowledging that this is for a greater good, I think makes a difference as well. So, I'm thankful that my employer has been very understanding, and so that has helped me to be better able to focus on the groundwork. But of course, at the same time, I have to make sure that I don't let down on the professional side as well, because there are other colleagues that have to be responsible too as well. Yeah, so I guess generally, we have a starting point that's not too bad. As I mentioned, male colleagues do not talk down to us. We are able to hold up like equals. That at the same time, the family, the broader network of support, are supportive, being able to at least share part of that burden, so that mentally as well as physically, it's not too overwhelming for the women. And then employers, being more open-minded about this, willing to make some adjustments. I think all of this will help to encourage more women to step forward.
Also, what would you say is the one thing that being in this service role you're able to do that you will never be able to do if you were not in this position?
Well, I think it's influence and rallying of resources for causes that I feel passionate about. And I think even more so now that I've been in Macpherson for 14 years, I've come across residents and families that, may sometimes not be able to be fully helped by policies. So I felt that, these are some of the instances whereby if I had given up, or if I hadn't had the chance to, come forward to be fielded and to be an MP, I wouldn't have been able to do this.
everybody who comes to you obviously is with a problem, right? So, I mean, I'm sure you also have your own share of problems. I mean, none of us are problem free, right? And then you have your own share of problems. And then you have work, right? Your day job. And then you have everybody just most of the time piling on problems onto you. So it just sounds to me like you're shouldering so much. How do you cope? How do you learn to sift things through and find your own mental health?
Obviously, there are challenges. There are times when it's a bit tiring, but I think it's still a meaningful endeavor. It's still a worthwhile one. On the one hand, the responsibility as an elected member of parliament is absolutely sacred, because voters, people whom I represent, gave their trust to me by giving me the vote. So to me, this is absolutely sacred. It's top priority. So that one is clear. Then at the same time, on the more professional side, the so-called day job, I also think it's important. It's not just about personal development, but actually to me, it's also important to the work as an MP. Why? Let me share this. I had been a so-called full-time MP before. Actually, it's 2 full-time jobs. Yeah, it's like holding 2 full-time jobs. There's no so-called part-time. Let me make this clear. There's no so-called part-time. It's 24/7. But why is it useful? Is because in the end of the day, our parliament is a national one. We debate issues at the national level. There are, of course, some municipal discussions, but actually almost all the legislations and policies are national. And so if the MPs in the parliament are disengaged, are not kept up to date, or disconnected from the industry, then we won't be in a very good position to debate or discuss meaningfully these legislations and policies that will have wide-ranging, far-reaching impact on the industries as well as the whole country. And if we are not able to do that or draw on experiences to discuss meaningfully, then I think we'll all be for the worse. So I feel that this is something that's important. Well, at the end of the day, now and then something has to give. So it's a bit playing that rebalancing act. There is no perfect solution, to be very frank. But it is, I guess, a choice that we have made, and we just make the best out of it.
Do you think there'll ever be a female prime minister?
Yes, I think ever there will be. When, don't know.
Do you have aspirations for that?
I think for me, to be honest, I'll just do my best in whatever role that I am in. And to me, it's also about my pride in wanting to give my best. And whatever else, it's not up to me to some extent. And for me, is to serve my residents, be responsible to whom I represent, and also hopefully also be a value-adding member, whether it's in a company, at home, in the society, all aspects. I think these are, to me, more important.
I mean, comparing corporate to like the political scene, for women to rise up the ranks, is there any difference you see?
Well, politics, at least for the first thing, you need to win the election first. So that's already in itself different from corporate. But I guess there are some commonalities in that I think it's always important to keep being better. Never stop learning, never stop engaging. Because at the end of the day, there are many things beyond our control, and things are very dynamic out there. Like AI. Last year, ChatGPT created such a big hoo-ha. This year, DeepSeek. Although they are all generative AI, and one can argue DeepSeek is distilled from the likes of ChatGPT and other models. But the thing is that there are new innovations, new breakthroughs, and new way of doing things. And so new ways of looking at things as well. So I think for anyone, it's not just women or men, it's about constantly seeking out new knowledge and new skills to always be better than who we were yesterday, so that at least we have a good shot at tackling the challenges of the future or riding on those new opportunities. We must keep moving. The speed may be different, but at least we are moving.
I mean, where does family come into the picture then?
Nowadays, very, very busy. Yeah, almost no time. And so it's
Maybe your
really,
kids are, you have two, right?
yeah.
Or about same age
I think
as
same
mine,
age, yeah.
And then-
About that. Honestly, like I used to be very on point with the homework and like what the teacher says. Like nowadays, like sorry, man. Like,
me too.
Yes.
I am so not in touch with when the exams are. What is this weighted thing? And as a fellow mom, also and working and busy as well. I suppose, like we. I mean, I do think about the family and where they come in. So I'm just wondering what about you?
Well, I'm thankful that I have a support network at home. Otherwise, I don't think I would have the capacity to do what I'm doing. So, I mean, whenever there are pockets of time, I try to be with them. But to be honest, it can always be better. And the mom guilt is real. Yeah, it's real. Then if anything goes wrong, like if let's say Chinese didn't score very well, then you'll be wondering, is it because I didn't spend enough time? Yeah. And then is it because you're losing out because of me? Yeah.
Right.
Then you feel like, wow, very it's very guilty, very like just feel bad about it. But then at the same time, it's like, I'm very tired also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what gives, sometimes it's a bit challenging.
Do your kids know what you do?
So I'm not very sure whether they really know.
I love asking this question because I always get people asking me this question. I feel like now I finally got a chance to ask someone else this question. Like, do your kids know what you do? Because I always get these questions, right? Like, do your kids know what you do? And from a very young age, I'm like, I don't know whether they know what I do because they only have one mom. And they're born with this mom doing this thing. So I don't know whether they fully understand what I'm doing because there's no comparison.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the life that they are. But it's just now as they grow older, they kind of understand that we are like actors and we are, that's why when we go out, people come up and want to take photos with us. And they used to always wonder, are they your friends? But now they are kind of aware, right? So just, so they kind of understand a little bit the nature of our jobs. But then I'm just wondering for your kids, do they understand the nature of your job? Have you ever discussed it with them? I
tried to explain, but it seems a bit difficult sometimes because it can be a bit abstract for their age. But the interesting thing was my son's classmate, I think in preschool, one day came to me and said, Auntie, are you in the government? And I was like, how come you know better than my own kid? So that
it's mom lah. I think it's the moms. The moms talking.
Yeah. Then the kid would run to me and then ask me, sort of, but no. Then my kids are like, like just happy go lucky. I don't think they really fully realize, but I do occasionally bring them to constituency so that they get a sense. But even so, I think it's still haven't really sunk in yet. Hopefully in time to come, they will have a better appreciation. Yeah.
I mean, would you want to involve them in what you do as well?
Not for the politics part, but I think it's useful for them to understand how diverse a community can be and that they too can also do something to help. At least, because I think kids nowadays, I think compared to maybe other countries and maybe to the past, have, a better endowed. And so I don't want them to grow up thinking that this is the norm or that things are, will do not take things for granted as well.
Have you got a female role model?
Yes, I think so. I think my family, the women in my family are quite strong in different ways. So my mom, if you look at her, she's like the very likable auntie, with the curly hair but she is someone who will endure tough times. And she will, a lot of times she keep it in and then she will just, despite all the challenges, she will just make sure she takes care of me, takes care of family, just rough it out. So that endurance, I see it, as I grow up. So I think that's to me very inspiring. The paternal grandmother is quite a character, I must say. So she has, since birth, I must say she has quite an extraordinary story to tell. She passed away at 100 years old. So if you work back, she's born in the 1920s, actually, when she came to Singapore with my grandfather, taking my father along with her. My father was 7 years old back then. When she came to Singapore, they lived at Chinatown. So while my grandfather was busy working, so she has to take care of everything, and then raise my dad and all. She's a very strong character. She's very resilient, independent minded, and she fights for what she believes in. And so to me, that is, she's definitely inspiring in that sense. Yeah. So actually, for me, female role models come from my own family, in different ways. Yeah. So the strength, the resilience, and that passion, I must say, I think rubs off on me.
Okay. So perhaps a final takeaway for women who at this point in time listening in and feeling that, maybe I'm not so good enough, or maybe they're facing some sort of what they perceive as discrimination or that gender stereotype. What advice have you got for them?
I think for ladies who are going through moments of doubt, I just want to say that I understand, I empathize. I think I can imagine how you are feeling, and but I hope that even in those moments, when it felt so intense and like almost like end of the world, sometimes don't give up hope. I think things will get better. The society is moving, and as you grow, I think you will be able to show others what is really inside you. It's easy for people to jump to conclusions, and maybe start off being prejudiced. And fighting against prejudice can be tough, but as long as you stay on course, you continue to improve, you continue to just endure and just, keep going. I think at some point, things will get better. People will see you for the good that you represent, the good that you have, and change their mind. Even if it's just by a little bit, it will get better. So I think that is something that we must continue to believe in. And with more women making it, surfacing up to the top, rising to the top, I think it will also serve to signal to the broader community and society that women has what it takes, and that it will make that path for other women broader, easier to trot on. So I think have faith and just focus on personal growth. Take heart. We will make it there.
Well, that's very well said. And if I may add on to that, I think focus on what you can do, not what you cannot control.
Indeed.
Thank you, Pei Ling, for joining me today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Whether you agree or disagree with our conversation, we'll love to hear our thoughts in the comments. So be sure to like this episode and subscribe to the channel as well. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in the next episode of What Do I Know with me, Joanne Pei. Bye.